Hello and welcome to another weekly Career Codex video. My name's Simon Gray and thank you for joining me once again. Now, the original topic of this week's video was time is running out for us all, but at first glance, this appearing somewhat morbid, I decided to instead pose the question, are you really the architect of your career? And what I talk about today was really prompted by a phone call I had a number of weeks back with a guy called, let's call him Rob, which turned out to be extremely thought-provoking, I think, for both of us. But before I get into the detail of what we said on the call, I'd first like to take a few steps back, set the scene, to go back in time to discuss that very topic time. So 1994, graduated from university. I graduated from university and began my own career path. And the natural tendency back then, I think for me, was to look forward, albeit I didn't look forward with the clarity over my direction of travel or what I really wanted to do. And my first career in accountancy with one of the big four firms, followed by 6 years as a consultant working for a recruitment company, to be honest, weren't really the product of informed career planning. And I now realise that I wasn't in the driving seat of my destiny. And as a passenger really in the car of life, I went where the driver took me. And back then, the driver's name, I think, was probably chance. This changed at the age of 36, started my own business, my first business in 2008. And I think this in part was born out of a sense of urgency, that I wanted to do something, I wanted to be in control. And of course, time is running out for all of us, and time is always finite. And this feeling of urgency has kind of stayed with me ever since, albeit I'd not consciously thought about it until the conversation with Rob. Rob got in touch with me via LinkedIn. He sent me a message, he told me he read my book, that he'd found it useful. And he also sparked my curiosity because he said he had a few bits of insight and feedback to share. If you'd like to read his message, you can go to careercodex.com/blog and see the blog post there. But what I can tell you, he definitely read the book. The way he crafted the message definitely spoke into me. It definitely got my attention. And it got my attention not so much because of I saw him as a potential client, but because of the help he was offering, the perspective he was offering to share. So on our call, he explained to me that there was a specific challenge playing out in his life that I'd not necessarily explicitly covered in the book. He said that as a successful businessman, he'd exited a number of companies, been very successful in the process already, but he'd come to a realization that time was running out. Hence my initial thoughts on the title for this video. In his mid-40s now, despite having accumulated considerable financial wealth, because he had an interim project-based career, he felt he missed the opportunity to put his stamp on an organisation and to make something of his own. And now he's really searching for an organisation which he could lead from the top, stick with longer term, and where he felt he could make a real difference. And this was the quest that led him to Amazon and ultimately Super Secrets of Successful Executive Job Search. And thinking about this, I guess at some point in all of our lives, we realise that the time we have in front of us is less than the time we've already spent. And with this realisation, when this begins, we start to concern ourselves with questions of legacy, contribution, and what difference we've made and have yet to make. So Rob shared with me that in his mind, he felt that he had 20 years of his working life left really to complete his mission, and that the clock was definitely ticking. So my book shows that taking proactive control of your future is possible and explains a step-by-step approach to define, find and secure the opportunity you really want, not just the one you've fallen into or the one you now see advertised. And Rob identified with these messages which spoke to his current situation, but for him the missing piece of the jigsaw was that now is the time to take control of the future. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, not next year. And the future we have in front of us is not necessarily the future that we have to have, because in actual fact we can pick the future we choose. All we have to do is to decide what that is and make it happen. And I reflected on Rob's urgency, this 20-year thing, and started to think back about my own urgency and realised that probably back then when I started my business, it was the manifestation and the realisation that the time was ticking away. So I believe that everyone has the opportunity to create. We don't all have to be the next Steve Jobs, but we have the opportunity to create the future we want, the career path we want, the family, the friends, and everything else that we want in life. But often we leave everything to somebody else. You know, if we ask ourselves how much of what we really do is shaped by external influences at the detriment to our own internal ambition, how much is shaped by external parties as opposed to what we choose. And I think Rob's message is a timely reminder that you know, it's our life. We have the power to live it as we choose. So thank you, Rob, for the inspiration for this week's video. If you'd like to find out more about Career Codex, please feel free to visit careercodex.com or to connect to me directly on LinkedIn. My username is Simon Gray, ACA, that's Gray with an A. And hope you enjoyed this video, found it useful. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care, and I'll talk to you soon.